While we're waiting for John Paul Miller's federal court arraignment, I thought I'd do a little digging into what his new and improved church has going on. For those of you who don't know, John Paul Miller's new church is Mercy Church Ministries, and it's definitely not a cult, but is definitely in a strip mall. Fancy. I found the Facebook page for the church, and let me tell you, it's a stunner. It's a solid blue banner and a solid blue profile image, and that's it. There's minimalism, but this seems a bit extreme. Then there's their web page and what they lack for color and graphics on their Facebook page. Boy, oh boy, howdy do they make up for it on their website. Not only do they use all the colors, but they use all the fonts. Save some fonts for the rest of us, Mercy Church. They also announce on their website that they offer a variety of ministries, but sadly, the only actual photo of them doing anything is moving a refrigerator. They're not exactly on par with the moving company college hunks. They're more like four middle-aged putzes with truckses. I also checked out the Instagram account for Mercy Church, and while it might not have many posts, it did have one that gave me the biggest laugh out of all their social media accounts. I'm not going to share the pic because I'm not really sure how old this kid is, but he's the one named Dylan who was trying to sue the protesters and drop the lawsuit. Anyway, in this image, he's pointing to a piece of art in a restaurant, and the piece of art has the Mark Twain quote, "If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything." And for about half a second, I thought that maybe whoever was running their social media was trolling John Paul. But then I remembered that it was probably Trisha Rita, and there's no way she would ever betray her beloved little Pee-wee. So instead of trolling, it's just pure audacity that they would post that quote. For the love of little green monkeys, your pastor is going to be arraigned on charges of lying to the FBI, not to mention the multitude of other lies he's been caught in. And about that arraignment, I think it's just going to be a quick affair with John Paul entering a not guilty plea, and then the judge giving him bail or even letting him be free on his own recognizance. It'll probably be quick and boring. And I would be thrilled to be wrong about it, though. I mean, it would be awesome to hear that he broke down and threw a fit and then was in contempt of court because he tried fighting the bailiff or whatever they have in federal court. Maybe they just use live bears to control the defendants. But whatever it is, John Paul tries to fight it and he loses and then ends up crying in front of the whole courtroom. Okay, I might have let my imagination get away with me a bit on that one. And now let's talk about Charles Randall. And I think we already all know that Charles I Don't Beat My Wife Randall isn't going to show up for John Paul at his arraignment. I mean, he's been in hiding ever since the FBI raid. But where has he been? I've seen other people asking about him and had someone ask in our Facebook group, so I looked for him. Not in person. I'm not peeking in the windows of his house or anything weird like that. But I tried finding what he's been up to. So in September, he filed a civil lawsuit against a Kevin Simmons, but there aren't any documents available, so I'm not sure what the lawsuit was about. There was a default judgment for $0 against Kevin, though, so I hope Charles doesn't spend that all in one place. But for all of Charles not showing himself in public, he's also been hiding himself online, too. Remember, he had the website about his Saint Delight Association, and that was the association that sent him on mission trips to Africa. Well, that website is gone. It's done disappeared. And as far as I can tell, there haven't been any more mission trips to Africa since the one they took back in January and February of last year. And isn't it just the strangest that after little Chuckles ran to Africa to suddenly start building the school that was supposed to have already been built, the trips to Africa have stopped and the website about those trips has been taken down. I wonder if Charles was worried about the FBI finding out what he'd been doing with that mission money. Maybe they were questioning him as to why he and John Paul were getting donations to send children to a school that didn't exist. I also wonder if the construction of that school ever got past the foundation phase. I have reached out to an organization in Jabbrock to ask them if that school is even there, and so I'm waiting to hear back from them. And finally, there was good news out of Horry County today when it was announced that John Paul Miller dropped the appeal in his lawsuit against Sam Rickman. That lawsuit where JP lost, but then he had to pout like a baby, so he appealed it, and then he tried to get it continued, but has now lost again. At least I'm considering it a loss for him. I hope his losing streak continues. He also allegedly wrote Sam a check, and I'm going to bet it was probably from the benevolence fund from his church that definitely isn't a cult.